The other main piece of news is, of course, the Black Lives Matter movement is very much in the sort of the focus of media at the moment, and there's been a lot of things that have been certainly TV shows that are having episodes taken down or in other ways censored to do with potentially racially insensitive depictions.
Yeah.
Some of them, like Little Britain, for example, somewhat justified. Others, however, and I know you've got a lot to say about this.
I've got very much to say about this.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which has one of its earlier episodes is of a satire on blackface as a concept. And that episode is apparently... Has it been pulled or is it about to be pulled?
I think it's been pulled.
Yeah, has been pulled from Netflix. So
yeah. Basically, also there was an episode of Fawlty Towers was pulled as well.
The German episode, which is more just about... It wasn't racist as such, but just because there's got German slurs in it and stuff.
No, well, also I think one of the characters says the N-word at some point.
Oh, does he?
Like, the old major.
Oh, okay, I don't remember that one. I remember the Nazi stuff.
That was the episode that got pulled. Was that episode?
Okay,
but I mean, I've got something to say on that as well.
Okay,
John Cleese also weighed in and absolutely slammed UK TV.
Oh yes,
for pulling that episode, which is very accurate and like so. I think it's very important to get across, right, that blackface and racism is not okay.
Yes,
right. But the reason why these depictions, especially It's Always Sunny, is fine is because it absolutely tears the shit out of it. It's not making, it's not having blackface to make fun of black people. It's blackface to make fun of the people who use blackface.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've literally written like 5,000 words on this. This was like one of my end of year pieces for university. I wrote so much about this. So I've studied this a lot, and pulling it is fucking stupid because it just mercilessly takes the piss out of those people. It's the whole reason it works is because it's just brilliant satire, especially It's Always Sunny, because you see Mac, who we know is a fucking idiot, put on blackface, and you know that it's not right, and they just take the piss out of him specifically so well, and it's like, you would never put on blackface because you don't want to be anything like Mac, because he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, like we were saying last week, none of the crowd in It's Always Sunny should be role models at all. The whole point is they are appalling, terrible people, and you absolutely should not aspire to be like them in any way whatsoever.
But it's stupid taking it down because...
Yeah. Well, to take it down completely misses the point of the episode, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It misses the point, but also having it stand works so much better as, a warning, as being like, don't be like this. This is the... But taking it down means no one will ever see that warning.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's like pulling down stop signs because people are offended by the colour red now. And it's like, but it exists for a reason because it stops people doing that thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, so pulling it is a fucking stupid idea because it's such an excellent reinforcement of why you should not do that. And it's the same for Fawlty Towers, because the character that then does say the N-word gets ripped the shit out of by Basil Fawlty, and he's like this stupid, blithering old man who's got no memory, who thinks he's living 30 years ago, who is, obviously got some mental deficiency, and is just like this stupid, blithering old man. And it's like, you don't want to be that person.
Yeah, it's specifically...
You don't want to be anything like him because he's a terrible person.
Yeah, it's specifically criticising that behaviour. It's not. It's
exactly.
Absolutely saying it's not okay. So it's in support with the movement, Yeah,
it is. But also, then just not having it is worse because you don't have the warning. And it just makes... It rustles my jimmies.
Well, see, this is the argument I thought. Like, even so, Little Britain, which... I mean, it was relative. It was like 2005 as well. So, like, it's also
like shockingly recent.
Like, it doesn't even have the same argument. Something like, Dumbo, like the other older films which have had this kind of problem where it's like, oh, it's of its time. It's like, this wasn't okay at all at the time. Why did we let this through? But either way, so the problem is ultimately, even if something is like genuinely racist and offensive, taking it down doesn't solve the problem. All it does is it makes it worse, if anything, because by banning something, people become more interested in it, and when people become more vitriolic that their content's being denied. Like, look at Clockwork Orange. It was pulled from distribution by Kubrick after a lot of like death threats were sent to him and his family over the violence and stuff of the film. And for the next like 30 or so years until he died and it became available
that's
again.
Ironic.
Yeah. But like so many people, like it was like the most pirated film ever, Clockwork. Like so many people were trying to get copies of it. Like video shops have to put up signs saying, sorry, we do not have copies of Clockwork Orange. And like there were midnight screenings set up underground and they'd get like arrested and raided. Like it was had such a boom around it.
There was I think it was in the 70s, there was a song. I don't think it didn't have any swear words or anything, but basically the radio host thought it was offensive, so would refuse to play the song on the radio.
Yeah.
And him doing that alone caused that song to go to number 1 in the UK for like 3 months in a row.
Absolutely.
Because he refused to play it, everyone was like, well, I want to listen to that.
Exactly. Like, so another recent, like an example of this happening now with the current BLM stuff is, so HBO Max has launched recently, the new streaming platform that HBO are doing.
Yeah.
And they said, we're going to take down Gone with the Wind for like a week or two, then we're going to re-upload it with a warning at the beginning. Which is fine. Like, yeah, they're not even taking it down. They were literally like, we're going to just put a thing on and then put it back up again. It's not going anywhere. But the amount of outrage that alone caused was incredible. Like, so many people being like, oh, taking down this film. Oh, it's just, you know, and it's already inspired that. And I've still not seen Gone with the Wind because it's a 4-hour-long Civil War drama. And to be honest, I can't be asked yet, but one day we'll get around to it. But even reading this post and seeing it being like taken down, I still felt like I'm kind of smug I've got a DVD now. And I now kind of want to watch it. Like, that's the problem with taking stuff down. It has that power. It makes you want to go and watch it. So they shouldn't take these things down. And because also art, even the most vile and disgusting art, still has a place to exist, I believe. Like, even something like Cannibal Holocaust we were discussing recently, a vile film, really disgusting stuff happens in that. And like, as I said, like, real animals were killed for it. Shouldn't have happened. But the fact that it exists inspires that that conversation. We talk about animal cruelty because of Cannibal Holocaust, and it has a place in history, to talk about those issues. In the same way, like, having something like Little Britain that's so recent yet so racist, having it still exist so we can look and be like, what the fuck were we thinking? And still have that as a record of what we were doing back then is still important to learn from. And getting rid of it doesn't solve anything.
The other thing is, like, with Little Britain, like, that's the type of thing that, why was that ever aired in the first place?
Yeah.
If that's so offensive and everyone knows it's offensive, why did they air it in the first place?
Exactly.
If that's the thing that it's BBC. Is it on iPlayer?
I think that was
Or is it UK TV as well? I don't know.
Maybe.
Either way, well, obviously it wasn't offensive enough for them in the first, because they still aired it, they still fucking made it, they still released it. If it was that bad, why was it made? Like, fair enough, these things in the fucking 50s and 60s, because it was completely different. But Little Britain, 2005, like, that's so recent.
Yeah.
And if it was that offensive, don't make it.
Exactly.
And, well, obviously it is very offensive, and it shouldn't have been made. But then pulling it doesn't change that, does it? Because it was still aired then.
It just sort of...
The other thing, what I was going to say about Fawlty Towers is, when did that series come out? Fucking late 70s, early 80s? Yeah. That millions and millions and millions of people have already watched that.
Yeah.
Pulling that now, what is that going to achieve?
Yeah.
Nothing. Just absolutely nothing.
All this kind of censorship and pulling stuff, all it does is just, at best pretend it never happened, which doesn't help inform the conversation at all. And so I mean, this is like simultaneous platform releasing, where the solution was come up with like years ago, and somehow we've still not quite worked out. But like, so when the Looney Tunes got re-released on DVD, a lot of those made in like the 40s and 30s and stuff, where racism was a lot more widespread and sort of general. And they've recorded these little bits at the beginning with like prominent black entertainers or personalities, like I think Whoopi Goldberg, Samuel Jackson, people like that, recording an intro which basically boiled down to, these cartoons are made in a time where racism was a lot more accepted. It wasn't okay then, it's not okay now. But to get rid of that would be to pretend it didn't happen. So we've preserved these cartoons as they were, with this disclaimer so people can look back on this and see how things have changed and learn from it. And it's like, that's how you do it. Preserve the world, but put the warning on, put a disclaimer on, so that we know to make it clear that this is not okay and this should never be okay. But this is what happened. This is how we used to make things, and it's terrible. But that's it needs to exist as it did.
Yeah. Well, the other, I want to say about Disney as well. Like, if you've watched some of the early Disney cartoons, they are absolutely shocking, appalling. Like, their depictions of race are just horrendous. But they are still available. But also, I don't know if they are anymore, but they were a few years ago when I studied animation. But what Disney have done, instead of turning away from that, they've apologized for it, but also they're now making things with a very diverse cast. Like Moana is about Polynesian people. That would not have existed at all. Like, rather than being like, shit, let's pretend this don't exist, they're like, okay, well, why don't we in the future make a very, very diverse, fair representation of everyone? And I think that's definitely the way forward, rather than pretending it doesn't exist, learning from it and making the things in the future have the fair and equal representation.
Absolutely.
And it's just pulling it is stupid, but also especially Always Sunny, where they tackle everything offensive under the sun. I mean, you could arguably literally pull every single fucking episode. But you genuinely could. Like, they take the piss out of, everything. Name something they haven't taken the piss out of. It's impossible to do.
They've done hundreds of episodes. They've basically covered everything.
Also, but again, with so if we look at Mac in the early seasons is really homophobic. But then what they did, rather than just have him be always a homophobic, they made it like this ultimate irony and made his character gay. And it's like, that is the way to completely undercut this, because anyone who then agreed with his homophobia is now like, oh shit, he's gay.
It's been slapped in the face, like, well, maybe you should take a look at yourself. So
anyone who's like looks at his blackface and is like, oh, he's got that right. You only have to fucking look at him. And just to see that he looks like a complete fucking idiot. To say, but also shows you in that episode. I did a really big study on that episode. Is that they recreate Lethal Weapon. They make Lethal Weapon 5, and it's so funny. That episode is brilliant. But it shows you how stupid they are, because Danny DeVito's character even thinks that James Earl Jones was in blackface, but he's just a black actor. It just shows you how fucking stupid they all are. And I just think it's such a brilliant portrayal of that, because it just shows you how stupid they all are, and it works so well, and pulling it is a complete detriment. And it just pisses me off. Anyway, we've ranted about that for 20 minutes. Shall we move on?
Go on. I mean, I think we've pretty much covered that.